In today's video, I'm going to walk you through a few different stretches that you can try if you regularly deal with some lower back pain. These stretches may help you kind of open up that area, feel a little bit more loose, and feel a little bit more pain-free on a daily basis. So let's dive in. Okay, the first stretch that I want you to try is called Child's Pose. And this is a pretty basic stretch that is used in a lot of yoga workouts. We're gonna do this here and I'm gonna show you how it works, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of variation to it for you so that we're not only stretching out the mid and lower back, but also your lats. So for starters, we're gonna get down on a mat on the floor with your knees below your shoulders. And I want you to get out in front with your hands in front of those knees, okay? So see, just like this. And then what you're gonna do is actually sit back down to get your butt to basically touch your heels. So we're gonna sit back down and really get as deep into this as you possibly can. And if that means stretching your hands forward, sliding them forward on the ground, and tucking your head, try that to see how deep you can get and how far you can get your arms to slide forward, and then tuck your head. And you should feel a nice stretch down the middle of your back. You can do several of these if you want. What I would recommend is do 10-second holds. So do at least one 10-second hold. If you want to do 2 or 3, that's great. Do whatever feels good to you. And then from that pose, where we're down here, I want you to come back to more of the starting position. And what we're actually going to do is put your left arm out to the side, grab your hand, and then kind of sink back down into the stretch in this position. And what you should feel is a nice stretch down along your lats into your lower back. So we'll go to the right as well, grab the hand, and as you sink down into it, you'll feel more of a stretch along the side of your back. Okay, number 2 is from basically the same position, and we're actually gonna get into the same position that we started in, right? So we have our knees below our shoulders, and we're gonna come down and put our hands out in front, right in line with those knees. And then we're gonna go into what is called a cat-cow stretch. So what this involves is looking up and arching your back so that you're kind of thinking of bringing your hips up a little bit to arch the lower back. Nothing crazy, just get a little bit of an arch. And then we're going to go the opposite direction, tuck your head, hunch your shoulders, and think about really pushing your upper back up, and you should feel a nice stretch between your shoulder blades. And then you repeat. So we arch, and then we hunch. That's kind of the cues for this one, is to arch and then to hunch. So we arch, and then hunch. And again, you can do that as many times as feels comfortable for you. I typically do about 10 to 12 of them, but do however many feel good to you. Okay, next we're gonna do what is called knee to chest. So quite simply, you're gonna lay flat on your back. And from this position, bring one of your knees up, clasp your hands together, put them just below your knee on the top of your shin. And with your back flat, your head touching the ground, just slightly tug on your leg with your arms and try and bring your knee to your chest. Do this slowly and don't go overboard. Again, we're stretching, so we're not trying to create any muscle damage or anything like that. We're just trying to get a nice stretch. And what you should feel is a stretch through the glute and up into your lower back. So if we do that for both legs, you're gonna get a decent amount of relief in your lower back if you're doing this properly. And the more you can bring your knee to your chest, the more you'll feel that stretch. After you do the knees to chest, we're gonna move into a glute bridge. And once again, you'll be in a very similar position. So if I get down to where we were straight flat on the ground, what I want you to do is bring your feet up and your knees up to this position with your hands on the floor. And then what I want you to think about is thrusting your hips up. And this is called a glute bridge. So it essentially looks like this. Just pushing your hips up towards the ceiling and thinking about squeezing your glutes at the very top of it. This is another one that's going to involve flexion and extension of your lower back. And that should help, hopefully, get some blood flow into the area and hopefully maybe a little bit of pain relief. But if nothing else, it's going to help loosen you up and make you a little bit more mobile. And lastly, to round things out, we're going to do what I call an up and under, because I don't really know if it's called anything else. But what we're doing here is we're getting back into that first position, okay? When we got into child's pose, we got to here before sinking lower and stretching forward. So I don't want you to sink lower or stretch forward. I want you to get to here. And what I want you to think about is opening up with one arm while keeping the other arm on the ground. So with your left hand, thinking about rotating your torso out and reaching up to the ceiling like this. And you should feel a nice stretch all the way across your midsection. And then from there, we're going to come back down, bring this arm underneath. So behind your arm that's planted and in front of your knee on this side, we're going to come down and then lean just slightly on top of that arm. So you go from feeling a stretch across the front of your midsection to then when you bring this arm down and lean on top of it, you're going to then feel a stretch in your back. And you can hold these. So you can hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we do the other arm. Up, count to 5, and down. All right, I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask. Happy training.